DJI Avata, the complete test. In the range of DJI devices, there is now the Avata. It's a device that's piloted in FPV, in other words, in immersion with a helmet. In the small world of drones, it's a cinewhoop, a small device to go almost anywhere, streamlined to limit its dangerousness and capable of filming in HD. But there are already dozens of cinewhoops on the market. So what does the Avata bring? Simply put, it is to cinewhoops what the DJI FPV is to racers. What does it mean? That it takes advantage of sensors for piloting assistance such that a beginner can take it in hand in a few minutes. But it can't be piloting in manual mode for more complex evolutions. It benefits from security tools to fly with peace of mind. Finally, it benefits from a very impressive HD digital video feedback. And if we dive into the details, this is what I offer you with this test. It's long, but there is so much to say. And it's better to know the most if you are considering the purchase because it is not cheap. Note that the device was lent to me by DJI. As usual, let me know if you think the practice influenced my judgment. And also note that I experimented with several successive firmwares during my test, which ended before I had a final version. The content of the box. The pack I tested includes everything needed to fly, with no need for additional purchases. There is a drone, its propellers, a battery and its charger, the motion controller, the goggles to headset and its battery. The Avata's camera is protected by a plastic piece. On most previous models, it's difficult to install, but on the Avata, it is particularly easy to clip on. A little too much, perhaps. During my travels, it's sometimes detached on its own. The style. You cannot mistake it at first glance. It's a cinewhoop with its propeller protections. The central part is a frame, almost empty, with a paramilitary look, almost empty. At the front, the camera is stabilized on a single axis, installed in a nozzle, mounted on a support isolated from vibrations by rubber shock absorbers. Just behind the camera is a GPS antenna with the DJI logo. There is space in the front part, presumably to provide air circulation. The battery fills the entire rear part of the structure. The diagonal from engine to engine is 12 centimeters. The total size is 18 by 18 by 8 centimeters. Propulsion. The motors are brushless, placed upside down in push mode. Their characteristics are not described by DJI. The propellers are 2.9-inch 5-blade model. To make the difference between the two types of propellers to be mounted and to know which motors to place them on, DJI offers a color code black and orange. The propellers are fixed with 2 screws with securing lugs and rotate in the props in direction. They are intended to always remain mounted even during transport. Their pitch is not documented by DJI. Protection of propellers are halfway between the simple protections and the ducts, which channel the flow of air. They do not deform with shocks and are obviously solid in the event of a shock. They include 4 lugs that serve as feet for the drone. Some of them contain antennas, but you cannot see them. Electronics. It's completely hidden under the structure and protected by plastic. No visible welds, no trailing wires, no dangling antennas. There are 4 in all, 2 in transmission and 2 in reception. Everything is clean and neat. We are far from the cinewhoop to build oneself, which lets glimpse their entrails. What is apparent? There's only the battery connector on the back and the TOF sensor and the 2 vertical cameras. The Avata has a hatch success for a micro SD memory card and a USB-C connector. To access it, you must remove the cover behind the left rear propeller. And this cache is not a success. It's difficult to unhook. It is held by a thin tongue just in front of the propeller. You have to turn the propeller a little, pull the cover. Inserting and removing a memory card is not easy at all. I ended up using angle tweezers in the field to avoid getting upset. A micro SD card dropped in the grass and is a pain to find. Same difficulty to connect a USB-C cable. It touches the propeller. You have to be patient and turn the propeller so as not to risk failing it. The tab that holds it will eventually sooner or later let go. If the cover is missing during flight, the propeller directly in the front is sure to send dust, grass and gravel, etc. inside the USB-C connector and the micro SD hatch.